End of an era. Pour one out for LocalBitcoins. After a 10-year run, which is ages in crypto time, Bitcoin exchange LocalBitcoins is calling it quits, citing current market conditions and the prolonged crypto winter. Really quite a sad development for long-time observers of the space. LocalBitcoins is one of those early peer-to-peer Bitcoin marketplaces that really spoke to sort of the original ethos of Bitcoin, less intermediated by big companies and more about that peer-to-peer trading that was initially envisioned for the original cryptocurrency. LocalBitcoins, I think, saw a lot of early growth in emerging markets, and now, unfortunately, they are closing shop. Really sad to see, but it becomes another victim of the latest crypto downturn. I'm going to toss this to Adam for his thoughts and a bit of historical perspective on this one.
Yeah, you nailed it there. So, I mean, LocalBitcoins was kind of really, really important in the early ecosystem because there really wasn't any infrastructure. But the era of time where you can use a service like that and not have it be more risk than it's worth, I think is pretty much over. I think that, again, you get these kind of like frontier boomtown type of vibes from new technologies where it's like, we know that these solutions don't work very well, but it's the best that we have, and we're so motivated that we'll jump through all the hoops. Well, today you don't have to jump through the hoops in order to do that. So it's not surprising to me both that we've seen kind of a drop-off of demand, which then led to a spiral, which led to it making sense for them to shut the thing down. So it's sad in that it indicates that we're no longer in kind of this Wild West phase that we were for a very long time. But on the other hand, I have to say, I'm pretty happy to see us continuing past that. I think that this is the time, in the next couple of years, 10 maybe, where we start to see this stuff really matter. So end of an era for sure, but not sad about that at all. Will?
Yeah, quick take, then I'll hand it over to Jen. I totally agree with you on this, and I don't want to get too far into like the introspection on the whole LocalBitcoins topic because it is sad, right? Like it's frustrating that like a project like this has to close shop, but that's what happens when you see tech adoption. Decentralized players, they're big now. It's really easy to onboard to Coinbase or to Binance or another centralized player. It's simpler in a lot of cases than using LocalBitcoins or something like that. And then you don't have like a lot of the other risks that are associated with something like this. LocalBitcoins is great because basically allowed you to find another peer to trade Bitcoin for, USD or something else, just swap Bitcoin for whatever. And you could do it locally, which was like a great part about this. There's some downsides to that as well, though, right? Like you're taking on security risk. There's always risk of like physical damage from somebody, those sort of things. In the US, LocalBitcoins was not exactly a loved product, right? There's a lot of stories going back in Bitcoin's history where people were using LocalBitcoins and then the feds tracked them down and said, hey, this is kind of like money laundering, except we're using this thing called LocalBitcoins, and we're not big fans of that. So to see centralized players come in and squeeze them out just on the volume terms, it really was a conclusion unto itself. This was going to happen at some point unless LocalBitcoins was able to have some sort of new tech edge that came out, and that didn't come to pass. Jen, over to you.
Yeah, I agree with everything everyone has said. 10 years is a lot older than most firms we come across in the space, right? And while it's sad, I think it's, a few weeks ago, I was on this whole regenerative kick, and this story brought me back to that, right? I think at the beginning of this bear market, SEC Commissioner Hester Peirce said, the companies that aren't going to make it, we should allow them to not make it so that new companies can come in and solve all of these challenges and pain points that we're trying to solve so that we can get that mainstream adoption. And this is what I see here. I know it's the end of an era, but the team that's working on LocalBitcoins and has been working on that for a really long time now has the opportunity to work on different things and bring other projects to life that are going to survive as we move into the future. So a bittersweet story for me, but Adam, I'll give it back to you for last thoughts.
Yeah, I just want to, pour one out metaphorically for all of the awkward conversations in coffee shops where you're sitting there waiting 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes for that 10-minute average block time to hit. So you get that one confirmation where you can actually take the person's money or the other way around, because there were a lot of those in the early days. And it wasn't a ton of fun, but it is interesting to think back to how simple things were at that time. Zach?
All right, spicy take before we move gears. Did ordinals kill LocalBitcoins? Is this the passing of the torch in terms of Bitcoin's usability and what will captivate users' interest going forward? I think maybe Bitcoin NFT protocol ordinals is what was the ultimate death knell of the peer-to-peer marketplace.
She
such
just
as
wanted
this.
to bring
What do you think?
ordinals up.
Makes the most sense.
That's all that
Yeah,
happened.
no. Zach will
Yeah,
take
that's
every
exactly what
moment
happened.
to bring orders.
Hey, you gotta stay timely. Gotta stay timely, guys. Come on now.
Okay, I got
All
a different
let's change
spicy
gears.
take.
Oh, you got one?
Okay. Well, one quick spicy take that actually tops
I'm here
yours,
for
I
it.
think, and actually makes a little bit more sense if I can't say so. I think a lot of these like Bitcoin maximalist only products, this is the first one that's going to tip over, and we might see more of these, right? Like these really crazy hardware wallets are so hard to use and nobody wants to use them. This was one of them, really. Like LocalBitcoins was for Bitcoiners, and this is going to be maybe the beginning of a lot of those products failing. I think we've moved into a multi-chain thesis. Centralized players are bigger than ever. I don't know. That's my take. Zach.
It leaves Paxful and that really jacked founder that we talked about not long ago as the
Ray Youssef,
remaining
the GOAT.
peer-to-peer Bitcoin marketplace. We'll see if Paxful can step up and pick up the slack.